Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here with the System Simplified podcast, where we interview top entrepreneurs, founders, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group. At Business Success Consulting Group, we create custom processes and tailor-made business systems so businesses can thrive and grow. All right, so today we're going to do it a little bit differently. This is a thought leadership episode, and I have Dr. Jeremy Wise from Rise 25, who has interviewed thousands of people, and he interviewed me several times. We've done episodes together. Hi, Jeremy.
I'm excited, Dee, because whenever I talk to you, we talk about some of the most important things in a business, which is systems. Systems are what makes things run smoothly. And we're going to dig deep into your mind. I'm going to try and extract everything from your mind so listeners can learn from you. And we're going to start off with, when does it make sense to document processes? I'm sure you get this question a lot.
I do. So my answer is the businesses go through different phases. So when a business is starting or when a business is growing, they're on a growth curve, right? And they need more clients, customers, patients, whomever they're serving. They should be concentrating on that and really go into an aggressive marketing campaign to get traffic, to get people into the organization. Once that is done and you have enough clients, patients, customers, right? I mean, you're going to continue to market and promote, but at some point you need to organize in order to be able to service all the flow of new people and existing people into your organization, whomever they are. So at that point, when you know that in order to grow to the next level, you have to put in systems, that is the time to actually document, and implement your processes and procedures so you will be able to service more and more efficiently. It's kind of like, it's the question is, when do you build this amazing freeway where you don't even have one road in your village, right? So first of all, get some roads so people can go and populate the village. Then when the village becomes a city, you want to create a better and better road, better freeway.
You probably get this all the time also. Dee is like, listen, this is the way we've always done things. It's status quo, it's fine, it's worked for years. Why do you want to document?
If I get that, it really depends also on the mindset of the business owner, right? I mean, if you want to maintain your status quo, if this is the way things always been done, then just, okay, go with it. This is like the way you want to run your business. So just continue. But really ask yourself the question, can you really grow and scale? So it's not just the growing part, it's also the scaling, meaning you want to increase the volume, but also increase the profitability and do more of it so it's profitable and continue to grow, and being able not to wear all the hats yourself, but actually being able to delegate and hire and maybe open another line of business, so open another branch or whatever it is. In order to do that, ask yourself, can you do that without having well-documented processes and procedures? And if you realize the answer is no, that's what you need. You need well-documented processes and procedures that are being followed by all. And you need management systems, meaning you need to have a good CRM. You need to have checklists. You need to have forms. You need to have predetermined ways of how to do things so everyone is on the same page. Consistency, repeatability. If the answer is yes, that those are the systems that you need in order to grow and scale, then that's the answer of why documenting or time to document.
You have a lot of people coming to you and there's pain points that they have, right? It could be scaling, could be exiting, could be onboarding. I'd love for you to talk through some scenarios when people come to you. What are they asking? What are they saying of why they want to document?
That's a great question. And, I actually like to ask that ask my client, like, why document? And I actually have here a list of the top reasons why to document. So really, I think one of the top reasons is that it will assist with hiring new staff, so onboarding new staff. So it is all consistent, and the new staff knows, they will know what they're doing. And it also gives them it's a good first impression, right? Because if you come into a company and you have a very methodical way of onboarding and training. So onboarding, we're not talking about the first day of fill out the forms and read the employee handbook. We're talking about the whole system of onboarding, which, by the way, you and I did a podcast about it, so our listeners can listen to it. But it also includes all the training for the first 90 days. What are the different what are the different competencies that you want to achieve, etc. So when you have that part very well defined, it gives a lot of stability and a lot of certainty for the employees that they came to the right place. I have a story. We work with a real estate company, and we documented their processes and procedures. They were expanding, and they hired, I think it was the director, it's one of the directors. I don't remember his post exactly. But when we presented the documentation and when we presented the org chart that we created, one of the things that he said, wow, that gave me a lot of stability, because I knew that company is going to expand and it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay, and I have a future. So that's an example of how, from the employee side, it gives them that stability. From the employer and the employee side, it gives the ability to train somebody so they can be up and running very easily and very fast. And that, of course, saves a lot of money, a lot of grief. It basically sets everyone for success. So that's the number one reason, is for onboarding and training new staff. The second reason that I hear is because people have ambition of tripling the revenue, 10x the revenue, increasing the revenue, becoming more profitable. So that expansion, that scaling, it's being made possible by having well-documented processes and procedures. And then, of course, it's efficiency. It all ties together, because if you're more efficient, you're more profitable as well, right? But just from an efficient standpoint, in terms of people doing things quicker, better, uniform, the same, it's knowledge transfer. If my key employee leaves, what will happen to all the tribal knowledge? And also, as an owner, an owner that is wearing all the hats, by actually documenting those processes and procedures, they are able to shed those hats and pass it on correctly. It's also, it goes hand in hand with quick expansion. So if, for instance, you have a company, I'll give you an example, for instance, a construction company, that they are basically hiring 6 estimators. That's part of their strategic plan, is to hire 6 estimators this year. Well, think about it. If you hire 6 estimators, that means that, like, every month you bring somebody on, or maybe you're bringing on, or every other month, but maybe you're bringing some of them together. So it's really hard to be able to train them if you don't have a system on how to train, or if you don't have your processes documented. So that is another reason, is the fast expansion. Let me read some, it's again, people knowing the proper way, more efficiently, build workflows so we can be as efficient as possible. Automation, so that's a key one as well, in terms of wanting to automate part of the business. But in order to understand what to automate, they have to have well-documented processes and procedures. They're able to intake more clients with the same amount of staff. Making the experience for the clients or the customers better by onboarding them correctly, so they all feel that they're being taken care of. I actually had 3 of my most recent clients, what their experience is that they were growing so fast that they felt that it's really affecting the client experience. So, for example, I had an accounting firm that they were just growing. They opened up, and now they are up to 40 staff, and they were just adding staff, but they're not all doing it the same. So they really felt like they didn't just feel, it was a fact, they were losing clients because they onboarded them. But then the onboarding was not done correctly, or the processes were not consistent. So they actually lost clients. And that can happen when you grow very fast, you can also, if you're not able to service your clients, you can lose them because they're not going to experience the same, they're not going to have the same experience, right? You can also lose existing clients because they will go, okay, you used to be small and help me and pay attention, but now that you're grown, I don't feel like you really care about me. And I heard it from several clients when they say that. So that's another reason. People want to open in other locations. They want to make it very efficient, very effective, standardization, scaling, efficiency, move quickly. All those words are definitely come up a lot. And also selling the business. So like, I have when I did this survey, several people said, well, I want an exit strategy. I want to be able to sell my business a few years down the road. I know that if I will have well-documented processes and procedures, I will be able to sell the business better, right? So it's part of the value add of buyer relationship. It adds to the value and how when you speak to a potential buyer. So that's.
I love what you said there, Adi, with selling the business, because when someone's thinking, I'm going to sell my business, not the first thing that jumps their head is not systems, right? It's like, I need to find a strategic buyer, I need to do all these things, but it does come down to replacing yourself makes your company more valuable, or being able to document it so you can make sure everything's standardized.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I was sitting actually with one of my clients. He's a painting contractor, and I helped him with this. I connected him with a broker. The broker helped him sell the business, but I was part of it. He wanted my advice and he wanted me to be there. And I was in a meeting when he actually presented to the seller, to the potential buyer, when he presented him all the processes and procedures that we documented. And I could see the buyer's face like, wow, this is a real turnkey operation. Jeremy, and another reason going on the selling vein is also wanting to acquire other businesses similar to yours. So I was working with a marketing agency that they wanted to acquire smaller marketing agencies, but they want to bring them on. So they will actually do the ABC marketing agency way. And that's why you have to have well-documented processes and procedures. The same thing with, I was working with a financial advising company. And they also had that in terms of having it in place because they were just acquiring smaller financial planning companies. And that was very important to actually have the processes in place so they can actually all combine together and have it as a strong team. And actually another example is another client that is actually looking at acquiring a smaller business, and he's actually hired our services to go document the systems of the business
before they leave. That's really smart.
Because otherwise, you don't know if the staff is going to remain. I mean, you're buying basically, it's a service providing company. So you're buying it, but you're buying basically the knowledge, but if the staff leave, then what? And as a matter of fact, I had a client that, they brought us in because the buyer, basically the new owner brought us in to document basically the processes and procedures of the business that he bought, because he was, again, afraid that those people are going to leave. So all of that is very, those are reasons, and they come on over and over. They want to make sure also, like one person said that they want to measure people's success and failure based on a standard, because right now she felt that, it's all based on opinions, right? Because you can say, well, you didn't do this process correctly, or you didn't do that process correctly. So
it's no longer subjective. It's objective. Did you follow these steps?
That's exactly right. So that was another one. So those are.
It gives me an idea for you, Adi, which is all brokers should be hiring. You should be a part of all transactions from the buyer side.
That's right. Also for the seller side, because the seller should document if they want to get more money for their company.
Right, from the seller side before, but then if you're with the buyer, you should be documenting the seller and the seller before they want to sell.
That's right.
Right. One that stuck out to me in this that I've heard before is not being held hostage to one person or a person in a specific department, because people could have maybe multiple people in one department, but only one person in another department, and they feel held hostage.
Yeah.
So, so this is great. Of course, there's some great reasons why you want to document and create systems for your business. Now, the next question is, should you document your processes on your own?
If you can, go for it. Absolutely. It's really, it's one of those, I think majority of the questions is, it depends. If you can do it, do it. But you need to have the knowledge, you need to have the resources. So I can also tell you that that's one of the things we did a survey and we asked, okay, should you document your processes on your own? Why not? Or why you not document it? Why not doing it yourself? So the number one was basically the time, having the time to do that. But with time came also the know-how, because we all know that sometimes, time can be a subjective thing. You find time for the things that are important to you, right? Or you find time for things that you know how to do. Sometimes when you are facing with this formidable, big task that you don't know how to do, you might go, well, I don't have time to do it, right? And you go do something else. So maybe you do have the time. Maybe you could sit the entire Saturday.
It was broken into chunks that was digestible, then you do it. That's but right. You feel like you don't have this. People feel like they have to do it in one shot, and then it's overwhelming, and then they don't do it.
Right. Or they just don't know how, because one of the things, if we leave the time aside, we also go into the know-how. So what I see that people run into, they don't know whether some of them go into too many details, right? And they write like this really complex documents that people cannot understand, or they're not thorough enough, right? So it's just skimming things, and it's not really, it's not usable. You can't use it for all the reasons that we just described. So, I know that what we can bring to the table, our superpowers, if you would, or our genius zone, is really the ability to extract the information in a way that can be duplicated very easily. It's basically whatever they're saying, we can take it, we write it, we create it, we use videos, we use screenshots, we create forms, we create checklists, we know exactly what to do. And that project that you wanted to do for the last year and didn't touch it will be done within a certain amount of months that we agree upon. So every single time we get the results, right? We give you the results that you need. We know how to do it, and we take the time out of it. So that is the reason. I guess the question is, should you do it yourself? It's really up to every individual to answer. It's not for me to tell them no or yes, but this is the reasons why to use us. If you really want to, if you want to get the project done and you want to do it efficiently and correctly so it can actually be usable, we know how to do it.
Yeah. And you also put it on in the proper format, in the proper platform, so it is usable. Because I hear time and time again, yeah, we have document systems, and they pull out a big paper manual, and I'm like, that's how are people supposed to use that?
Right. So it's a paper manual, or it's somewhere in a Google Drive or Word documents or whatnot. So we always use a process documentation platform such as Sweet Process, Well.io, Trainual. We use, or whatever platform, if the client is using another platform or prefer another platform, we'll do that. But it's very important to use a process documentation platform.
Yeah. When you say that, when you answer this question, it makes me think of what I try not to do, which is if something's broken in my house, like a sink or something, if I try to do it myself, it ends up worse than when it started, and I end up having to call someone anyways. So
right, that's exactly right.
So what is, because people don't necessarily equate processes to ROI. So if you were to think, because most people are like, listen, this seems like it's going to take a lot of energy and work. What is the ROI if you document your processes?
Right. So let's break it down. We can take ROIs always. We can always look at money directly. So obviously increase profitability. So if things are being more efficient, less time wasted, more things more automatic, so you can create better profit. If you open a new location and it's profitable, that's better profit, right? But the ROI can also be a little bit subjective. It all comes down to, at the end, it will translate in profit, but you can also have an ROI of being able to have dinner with your family 3 times a week, right? Because before you were overworked. And ROI can also be in lost opportunities. So for example, I was working with an accounting company, and the senior accountant was very involved, heavily involved in onboarding new accountants. And we calculated how much his hourly rate is, right? But it's not just the hourly rate of not servicing clients, it's also the time that is not out there. He was the rainmaker. The time that is not out there,
it's opportunity cost.
Yeah, it's the opportunity cost. So think about it. Like if you bring on a new employee and you don't train them correctly, so you spend time training them, and then they stick around only for 3 months because they haven't been trained correctly, then you lose them and you have to start the whole hiring process all over again. So it's your lost time. It's the wages you pay that employee that now you lost because there was no production, etc. So it's the opportunity cost and the wasted time. So I think, again, it really depends on what you want to accomplish in your business, and accordingly calculate what's the opportunity cost, what's the ROI, how much you're losing, etc.
Yeah, saving time, profitability, opportunity cost, and then just sometimes you can't put a price tag if you can go home early and have dinner with the family, where you can now have offload some of those tasks to other people on the team.
And peace of mind too, Jeremy. Peace of mind is like, it's kind of like that MasterCard,
the American Express or something. Yeah, exactly.
But it's peace of mind. What's the ROI for peace of mind? Knowing that you have continuity, knowing that your business will continue, knowing that you're going to be able to move forward.
Going back to Adi, we were talking about before, about people feeling overwhelmed. Like I have a lot of processes, I have a lot of departments, I have a lot of positions. This seems like it's going to take forever. And then people feel stalled in doing it at all. So can you basically break down a little bit about how long does this take? Because it seems so overwhelming.
Sure. So, it really depends on the size of the company, what departments you want to document, etc. But the main thing, like the question that is being asked, well, how much time will it take me? How much time out of my week? Well, one of the things that I recommend is that we use the team. It's not like one person documenting, right? So I always involve the team. We map the processes, we figure out what procedures have to be documented. We identify the people you want to clone or the best people and to work with in terms of processing. And then we figure out which one is going to do which procedure. We work with them, and then we collaborate in terms of everybody reading what the other staff did, and then creating a uniform procedure, right? So I would say, the way that we structure the projects is we spread them out so you can still do your full-time job, but also dedicate time to work on processes and procedures. So what I would like to say is that I would ask each stakeholder to give me between 2 to 5 hours a week. And sometimes it's not every week. We'll work with you in terms of your schedule and what works. But, we record, we interview, we record, we document, we take the time out of it. And really what I found is that the more order we put in, the more processes and procedures we document, more order starts going into the company. And then people start thinking more in terms of processes and procedures. And they are thinking, okay, well, maybe we should do this one more systematically, or maybe we should work out this process ourselves. So it's kind of like, in the beginning, it's harder to get into it, but then people get into it, and then it becomes basically second nature or a way of operating. And that's what you want to achieve, because then you're really systematizing the company.
I love that, because they get into it because ultimately it makes life easier. So if they feel it's making life easier, they want to do more of it.
That's correct. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I love it. Adi, thank you. Thanks for kind of unpacking some of these questions that I know I've had that other people have. Where should we send people online to check out more and learn more?
All right, so they can go to Biz Success CG, CG for consulting group, so bizsuccesscg.com. Or they can check out the podcast, which is the Systems Simplified podcast, which you can find on any podcast platform. That's my podcast where I talk about systems, where I interview top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about how to systematize a business. And there is always a link to the website there.
Thanks for listening to the Systems Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.